man, just like that, it's Wednesday night.
It's Wednesday night. I've got
I
two
know.
big things coming announcements coming tonight. So hold your horses. We'll get to them, but got two big announcements coming.
Hey, last week I was saying I was going to grab a old magazine because I got like a pile of them and just go through and say like, oh, hey, check out these stories or the prices of stuff. That's the thing that always like gets me is the prices of stuff. It'll be speed shop advertising in there, and you're like, oh, look, $1.99 buys a set of double hump heads for a Chevrolet, and you're like, God, what happened to those days? Well, back then I wouldn't have had $1.99 to spend. So
what's funny? We were just talking before that, and I totally forgot about that. As soon as you said that, I was like, man, it's sitting right there. I forgot
What's
to
that?
grab it. The magazine, the PRW or whatever, the PAW.
Oh, PAW magazine.
Yeah,
the flyer or whatever it was, the Bible. We used to call
the
it
Bible, right?
Yeah.
I must have built about 200 engines in that thing at whatever. So,
I
go
did
ahead and greet these fine
small
people.
block Fords out of that.
Oh,
that was my thing at the time. Yeah,
small block Mopars, big block Mopars. So,
well, since it is Wednesday night, we're going to run through and greet all these people. We got SSR Performance was here at 2:34, chomping at the bit to talk about Triple Crown. Bruce Cultgen, KF Skyhawk, inline feeling fine. Tall Garage is here. Junkyard D, Kerosene Cucumbers, the greatest name on YouTube.
It's a good one.
Clint's Street Machines. How did I mess that up? So Clint and I, before I run through and greet everybody else, Clint and I last week on Thursday, he came over and we were going to do some body work on my 63 Buick and got sidetracked. Well, I didn't get sidetracked. I thought it was more important to work on his Wildcat his Wildcat 355 is what we're building for his S10. It's the aluminum headed 64 motor. So it weighs like 400 pounds, something like that.
Wow.
It's not very heavy at all, but it's an updated version of it. So it'll be like a modern version of what a 300 should be. So it's got a big bore, the thin rings, long rods, and some good parts and pieces in it. Should make like 300 couple horsepowers and maybe like 400 foot-pounds of torque. So anyway, Michael Robert Embry is here. Tom Brown is here. Fabrice Mod Repeat. Hello from the Speed Oasis layer. The layer. Mama M3. Paul Pahui is here. Junkyard D. Danny Boyd. Buff Del Campo. And oh, hey, Buff, by the way, I was getting that TIG welder set up. So we're going to have some What If 300 Buick parts soon. Levi's Backyard Performance. Bobby Frizzell is here. Hey, folks, quick check-in from the Dragon Drive. So I guess he must be on that, what is it, Street and Yeet. I think that's what he was doing.
Okay.
Yeah. One-Eyed Cat is here. Levi's Backyard Performance. Dust Devil Garage. SSR Performance already asked, is Mercury an orphan car? No. Mercury was still part of Ford.
Yep.
So the orphan cars, I believe last week we listed off was like, there's only a handful,
very few.
Yeah. Let's see. Bobby Frizzell says, Levi, it's in the 60s today. So, so I guess apparently for his Dragon Drive, it's in the 60s today. Perfect weather. So they should have some, if it doesn't get cold, they should have some really good racing weather for maybe the last hurrah of 2025.
Nice. Well, KF Skyhawk's got the very first question up here. He said, basically, my cam sprocket has 4 degrees advance, straight up, and 4 degrees. He probably means to say retard. It is straight up. Advice on +4, 0, or -4 on Skyhawk. Knowledge is power. I want both. Spin me around a few times. Okay. Here's the thing. Always put it in at 0 and see where you're at. Degree it there first. Because usually the cams are cut 4 degrees advance in them already. That's a lot of manufacturers do that right off the bat. So put it in at 0, see where it's at, and that way you can either back it up or advance it from there. 9 times out of 10, you're always going to degree the cam twice. That's just the way it works. But it's very fast. You can get it done in 10 minutes, but it's worth the 10 minutes. But I would just put it in at 0 and go from there. A lot of those a lot of those engines, man, have already got like 8 degrees in the
Well,
crankshaft.
so you told me this about
Yeah.
6 years ago. Okay.
Yep.
You told me the same advice. Put it in at 0, degree it, find out where it needs to go to be set up in the manufacturer's specification, right?
Yep.
But you also did say, hey, be very wary. The Buicks are generally cut with 8 degrees in them to begin with.
Exactly. Right off the bat. But not all of them. See, that's the thing, though, is that they're not all that way. There's like it's just
And it
random.
depends where the cam comes from, I believe.
Well, no,
I
it's the crank. It comes
the crank.
The crank, the keyway in the crank is 8 degrees advanced, and that's
Oh.
where there's no rhyme or reason to it. And when I was making all those cams for TA Performance, we would take the 4 degrees out of the cam, so we would actually cut them straight up. So we'd actually back them up 4 degrees, so that way when you put them in, it would take out some of the 4 degrees advance that was in the crank, or if it didn't have any in the crank or the 8 degrees, you would just put the 4 degrees advance in the keyway. And he would degree the cams at his place on his little setup, depending on which crankshaft it was. But he didn't know the rhyme or reason why some of them were 8 degrees advanced. But one of them was so far advanced, they had to move one whole link back just to get it. So that way it was only 4 degrees advanced.
And the link you said is like 13 degrees or 14 degrees,
14
right?
degrees. Yeah. Yep.
Man, that's a ton.
So that's where I would do. Start at 0. I would start there first.
Okay, and then to where to set it up, I generally set it up with manufacturer's specification.
Yeah.
And if
Usually
it's a
4 degrees
stock cam, man, stock cams, it's either here or there. Usually, the stock cam, I'll usually back them up 2 degrees if I'm trying to make any kind of power, But the stock cams, the only stock cams I mess with is like I keep anything from 70 and before. Is the only factory cams I keep. The rest of them just go in the round file.
Yeah, anything high performance, So, Dust Devil's asking, Shane, what do you think of the W2 heads on a Magnum block? They actually work awesome because they have, especially if you're running like say the Econo style, where they have a pedestal. Since the Magnum block oils up through the rockers anyway, up through the push rod, it works just fine. And a Magnum block and the W2 heads are legal for Triple Crown because they're on a factory 18 degree. And I had a W2 engine that was actually one of the recipe engines that I had. That's where I got the one from. It was like 460 horse with basically the Econo W2 heads right out of the box. So they were actually really good. Very, very mild port on them, and it was on a 360 Magnum, and it made like I said 460 horse. So yeah, they work awesome. Oh, actually, one announcement. I'm going to say it right now. I want to congratulate someone today. Mr. Andrew Nelson sent me a picture, a text today. And I'm like, what am I looking at here? And so then I kept looking at it, and then I noticed 100,000 subscribers. So everyone, big round of applause for the Nelsons. Awesome. Congratulations, dude.
Hard work pays off.
Right.
And thinking outside the box. Yeah.
It was funny. He sends it to me and I'm like, what am I looking at with a big question mark? Because it was just a screenshot. And I had to look at it for like about almost 2 minutes. And I was like, 100,000 subscribers. It was funny.
KS Skyhawk saying, it ain't that easy to change it on a Buick. What's the advantage to advanced over negative? It's just where your power comes on at.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you advance it, generally your power happens about, say, 500 RPM sooner. And if you retard it,
it's 500 from -4 to +4. So if you're at 0, it's about 250 this way, and from 0 it's about 250 that way. But usually 4 degrees, total 8 degrees is going to be about 500 RPM. It's really not much.
And he asked another question a little bit further down, like back them up. You need negative. Yes, I mean negative on them.
Yeah,
they got tons of advance already in them. That's why it seems like it makes all the power at like 1,500, 2,000 RPM. Mm-hmm. And all you do is you retard that. If you only got a 4 degrees and a 0 and a -4 degrees, just pull it to 0 and it'll I think they run better, more like a regular engine without having all that low end grunt.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion. But
Yeah.
I do, like I said, I don't keep a camshaft. If it's anything after 1970, it just goes in the trash. That's the only ones I keep, 70 and before.
The only really thing when I say 250 RPM between them, the only thing you're going to notice is the idle. If you go from negative to, like I say, a positive 4, so negative 4, it's running really rough and it's as far as idle. But as far as once you bring it up, it's about 500 RPM difference when it comes in. But if you go 4 degrees plus, the thing smooths right out, and then you lose 500 RPM in there. That's really the difference.
I think I really think that was a Buick thing to begin with, really just for noise, vibration, and harshness, is to make them run as smooth as possible, really. And who cares about what kind of horsepower and stuff they make? But the reality of it is like I like to put them in at 0. Honestly, if you can degree it at 0, or that it's set up like the exact specs to whatever you get the cam card says, right? I don't advance them at all. Now, a factory camshaft, really all you can do is measure where 50 thousandths is, peak lift, and then you try to split the difference and come up with some kind of camshaft profile and do your best.
Yeah.
But I usually retard the factory ones by 2 to 4 degrees every time.
Yeah. Dizzy's saying that he watched the Edelbrock new performance, and this is going to segue me to announcement number 2. So this is actually going to be a big one for everyone. Everyone's been waiting for this for a very long time. And I have right here the new DLC solid flat tappet lifters for the big block Mopar and small block and slant 6. We have sets of these in stock. So if you've been waiting for these right now, this is the very first set right here. And they're on the shelf right now. Here's the part number, right? Can you see that? Yep, there it is. That's the part number. Go and get them. And if you're part of the No Name Nationals, call up Alex So. You'll get your discount on these. I think we have 8 sets in stock right now. They're the ones that actually passed, because we have a lot, but they're the ones that are there's on the shelf at this exact time. So they will actually leave tomorrow. So yeah, these are going to go in the slant 6, but yeah, they're on the shelf right now. So go check it out. They're really dude, I got to tell you, I didn't think they were going to have this good of parts inside there. But if you look down in there, that's a hardened, I don't know if you can see in there, but that's a hardened seat with an actual clip.
It just looks black.
Oh, you can't see it? Hold on.
You can kind of see the clip. That's about it.
Maybe I can get a little light. I got this little thing right here. Hold on. Can you see in there now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a hardened seat with a clip on it. So yeah, it's really nice. So I'm excited about that. So
right below Dizzy Izzy is Andy from Unity Motorsports Garage checking in.
Oh, well, there you go, Andy. Hey, I didn't see that. So Andy, there you go. There's the lifters you've been waiting on. Call up Trent and get yourself a set and put it in that 318. I did the oiling for you because that's exactly what they're made for right there.
Tall Garage says, what's a good way to data log a carburetor car?
I'll show you.
Data log. Well, you're gonna need some sensors, dude.
Just
otherwise it's a butt dyno.
Use this. This right here is a decent data log. This is the one from Fast. This is how I use on all my cars. It's a wideband and an RPM gauge. There are a couple inputs in here that you can get, like say a map sensor and put it on there. But I use this to tune all my slant 6s and even the Cookie Monster. I have these in my Cookie Monster. And this is just a good way to just know where it's at. I mean, this is just a tool. This is not the Bible. This is just a tool, but it works. But that's how I data log it. And there's a few other inputs in there too. I think it's got 2 inputs, so you can do map, and then maybe if you want to do, like say, drive shaft speed sensor, so you can actually get a speed on it, whatever.
Let's see. Andy's saying that if you're having to really advance or retard the cam, you have the wrong cam.
Agreed.
That's generally the case.
100%.
Yeah. The advancing or retarding it is literally just a crutch.
Yep.
And you can dial that thing in with engine vacuum, but man, you're gonna have to pull that timing cover off like a jillion times to try to get things right.
And you get to a certain point where the cam is so large, like in the Cookie Monster, I was advancing and retarding the cam just so I had enough clearance for the valves. I mean, literally, that's what it is. You're just splitting hairs at that point because it's just so large. It doesn't really make much of a difference. You're moving such a small window at that point.
You want to know something interesting about the small block Buick, especially the 350 Buick, is that it has such a large stroke, and the rod journals on it are so close to the camshaft. If you have a large profile camshaft, you cannot put the cam in with the engine assembled unless it's like at 300 degrees or something on the, if you it's like 300 degrees. It's like right before top dead center, like 60 degrees away. And then you can slide the cam in. If it ever gets out of time, it will take the lobe right off the camshaft. It'll hit the crank, or it actually hits the rod journal.
So like small block Chevrolet then. Yeah, small block Chevys, you have to go to.
It's so close like that.
Yeah. Wow. So Andy, yes, the DLC Mopar lifters, game on. Well, game one, but game on. I know what you meant. So.
Let's see. Levi's Backyard Performance says Ken and old bracket racer dash setup might work stuff out like that top sportsman car. No, I'm telling you, man, it's butt dyno and plug reading. That was before you had data logging. That's how you did it. That's really how you did it. You would listen for symptoms of if the carburetor stumbled, you figure out why. You would lock out the secondaries so only the primaries would work, stuff like that, so that you could narrow down individual things. But it was all about symptoms and troubleshooting and repair.
Yeah, I use this just as a tool, but I grew up reading plugs, and I use that for just so that way you can see a wide range of things happening. But at the end of the day, I'm still pulling the plug out and reading the plug because I know how to do that. So like on the nitrous car, on the Cookie Monster, I pull those out and read them. In fact, I did that every single pass, but I still have a data log so I can look back on it and then use that. And what am I seeing on the plug? So, and it does work.
Huh.
Yeah, all right. He says a dual channel wideband. I've ran it for over 6 years now. Yeah, I agree. I'm for 5. See. Oh yeah, don't forget this one too. A vacuum gauge. That's actually what I'm doing. I'm driving the Beaver right now, and I'm using the wideband on it, but I'm using the vacuum gauge on there so that way I can see when on that Holly 1920 when the economizer is kicking on and off. And I'm starting to stack like washers in there so I can give it a little heavier spring because it's got so much vacuum on it. So that way I can dial that in. But yeah, vacuum gauge is definitely need that.
Vacuum gauge is probably the most that's probably the biggest tuning aid on a carbureted car.
Yeah, exactly. And I have it right up on the dash. So as I'm driving down the road, it's just sitting there right in the wiper blade.
But if you got like a big hog ass cam, you're not going to be dialing it in at idle. It'll be jumping all over the place. You have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll need some RPM in it, and you need some load. So the best thing to do, old school trick used to be take the vacuum gauge, run an extra long hose, plug it into non-ported vacuum because it's got to be straight to manifold vacuum, and then tape it to the windshield and go drive around.
Yep.
And so that was the big ticket item to do.
I still do that because
I do it too. Whenever I have a problem, that's what I do.
Yep.
And I do that with fuel pressure gauges on EFI cars because generally if an EFI car has a problem you cannot figure out, it doesn't make any sense, it's generally related to a fuel delivery issue problem. Like fuel pressure regulator not working at the proper pressure or bleeding off, or the seat, it's bleeding past the seat, and then any kind of pressure off idle makes it go bananas.
Yeah. Bear Rose is saying, to this day, I use the butt dyno to find out the red line. When she knows is over, I know when she's ready for another gear.
Yeah.
Here's a good question. Rack and pinions.
Allowed in Triple Crown. Oh, that's a very good question. I really don't see why not.
As long as it doesn't affect the front steering geometry.
Yeah, you can't change the entire front end to accept a rack and pinion.
Exactly.
Like, you're still using the factory suspension components, and you just installed a rack and pinion or like a K member that will accept that rack and pinion.
What about this one? If it's a rear steer, does it still have to stay a rear steer?
I don't
Or
see where that affects anything because in reality, if it's a rear steer, it's better for bump, isn't it? For
Mhm.
oh my God, I'm just drawing a brain fart right now.
bump steer.
Yeah, bump steer.
Mhm.
Rear steer is better for bump steer, but if you change it for the problem with rear steer is generally oil pan and header clearance.
Exactly.
Okay, so what you do is you trade one for the other. You get horrible bump steer, which is when the car launches and the suspension goes up through its rising travel, it changes the geometry of the wheels really bad. Rear steer is not so prone to that.
I
And,
see I see no problem with the rack and pinion as long as you're running like a stock stylish type of spindle, like a Ford Mustang spindle or something like,
well, I don't see why you couldn't change spindles as long as it's
yeah.
still using the factory front geometry. If you had, let's say, okay, like a Mopar, you're running torsion bars. It should
Mhm.
still be a torsion bar setup with a
Yep.
rack and pinion.
Yep.
I
Exactly. That's
don't
what
see
I'm
any
saying.
problems with that, but
Yeah.
where I do see a problem is if you look up under your car and it's a 1960s car and it's got McPherson struts on it with a rack and pinion out of a Fox body, we have
Right.
problems.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole idea was you choose the platform and you're stuck with the problems of the platform that are inherent to that platform. Steering, I can't see any downside to the steering or like brakes. If you change it over from drums to disc, I don't see a problem with that. It's only better, right? So, um, as they say, but I'm a big staunch drum brake guy. I will leave drum brakes on forever. They're so cheap, you'll never convince me otherwise. I guess maybe if I had like multiple 200-mile-an-hour passes in a row, I might have a problem. But as is now, most of my junk doesn't go that fast, and I don't get that many passes to be concerned with it.
Yeah. He's this 38 Racing exam tonight is very relevant. I was coon tuning the MES 10s Holly vacuum gauge and AFR gauge. So yeah, there you go.
Well, we were all thinking alike then, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, didn't we do this one? Tom Brown's asking about his brother's 396. Didn't we do this? I gave him a part number, didn't I?
I think I gave him your address, or you guys hooked up, or whatever. You got
Didn't we
message.
do this? Didn't we do this live on the?
You were going to send him a part number. I don't know if you ever did you?
Well, we talked about it on. Oh, maybe I did. Maybe because I gave him the part number on the live chat.
You didn't give him the part number in the live chat.
I didn't.
You just talked about what you needed, and then you were going to send them a part number, and you wanted
Oh,
their contact info.
okay. Well, okay. Well, I remember pulling a cam number, and then maybe I just I don't know. I'm so busy right now because I got SEMA and PRI going on right now, and so I thought I had already done it. I don't know.
KS Skyhawk says AFCO makes steering arm studs to fix bump steer. It worked for me. S10 brakes on H body. S10 is 5/8 inch longer.
Yeah, I stacked washers until because I must have did my up and down in my car probably 15 or 30 times. Going up, going down, checking steer. As it went up and down, and I just kept stacking washers till I found out the right one, and now I still have to get it different because on mine it still has the factory link lower control arms type, but then the rack and pinion is at a different length, so they're not the same length. So you have to like, well, where am I going to move this travel through? So you're going to kind of get this number. You know what I mean? If it's down here, it's good, but then when you're all the way up, you want to get through that transition. It's either all the way up or all the way down on the bump stop. So
my Fox bodies are pretty bad about the bump steer, and when I put my T-Bird together, I bought a kit that it was just like a tie rod end that was for bump steer that just lowered the tie rod end down, so that I guess probably all it does is move the bump steer to higher in the like higher in the travel. So I don't know. But it was just a kit I bought, and I thought that was pretty interesting. That all it did was barely move everything, but it made a huge difference.
I'm going to look through my pictures here because I'm telling you, man, I took a picture of a cam spec, and I swear I read it on our live chat here.
Okay, Well, if you did, that's great. I just remember you talking about it, and then you wanted his contact info because you were going to send him the cam spec.
Yeah, it's right here. Yeah, so I got it right here. So I did say it on live, but I was just going to send him this picture is what I was going to do.
Oh yeah, well now you're
Yeah.
you're set up with him in Messenger. So
Yep.
let's see that. Okay, Bear Rose Garage is saying the rear steer makes the Ackerman angle a whole lot easier.
It does.
Front steer is tough to get that outside tire to follow the curve.
Absolutely. It is absolutely dead on the truth, because when I did the alignment on the Cookie Monster before I changed to the rack and pinion in the front steer, it was so easy, but man, was it just a pain in the butt when it was in the front. It was really a pain in the ass.
Well, I know that on my little 63 special, their rear steer, right? So they have a center sump pan, and it's the trick on those cars is to rob the entire steering and everything off of a 63 Tempest.
Mm-hmm.
63 Tempest is front steer, the same K member, right? And it moves everything to the front, and then you can run the 5-lug pattern from the Tempest and all that, which is a 5-on-4 bolt pattern, like a dart, like an A body Mopar.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a really small pattern. I stuck with the rear steer just because it's actually better for bump steer. I'm assuming this thing's going to be bouncing all over. It's a stick shift car, right?
Yeah.
So the better I can keep the bump steer at bay, the easier it is going to be to drive.
Yeah. Dust Devil's actually correct. For Mopars, if you just flip the spindles, so the spindles bolt on. Yeah, the tie rods basically bolt on the bottom. You just flip them to the other side, and then they flip to the front, and then you can just put your rack and pinion that way. Yeah, I've actually done that for someone. It works good.
Oh, let's see. Oh, Michael Schmidt is in the house. Andrew Nelson says rear steer is better for Ackerman and bump steer correction. Front steer is better for pan clearance and high speed behavior. Oh, I didn't know it was better for high speed. Is that just because it's pulling apart instead of pushing it together?
Probably. Yeah, I because I've never really done any like top speed racing. Only thing I did was on motorcycles.
I wonder if he means, because he did a lot of land speed stuff, high speed behavior, like anything over like 160 or something.
Yeah, probably.
It would make all the sense in the world because it's pulling against it.
Yeah.
And then if it was rear steer, it'd be pushing against it. It'd be compressing it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny, he didn't even have to tell me this. I just knew that the rear steer was better when I was aligning the car. And then when I got the front, when I was aligning this last year, I was like, why is this such a pain in the ass?
The Bigfoot Mopar says, okay, Dust Devil Garage, I heard the same. Might have to do with that. My 63 Belvedere. Okay, this is just talking about swapping the spindle from side to side and then moving everything up front. Levi's Backyard Performance says, I just bought a bump steer kit for my Laguna. It looked like a Chevy truck with a broken tie rod.
After being hooked to a sled. That's funny. Have you seen them? They set the nose in like this.
Squeeze it, yeah. Oh, well, so apparently Mohawk 62 saying the government shutdown is over. So, Oh, sweet. I didn't know that. I keep up on zero news. It's just so negative anymore. I just don't even watch it.
And I try to keep this a politics free,
Yeah. Yep.
We're all
well, and my politics are my own, right?
That's right. Exactly. It's correct.
Let's see. Levi's Backyard Performance. Ken is the Fox body. Going to be ready for a whooping. Oh, man. Now it's already started. Okay. Andrew Nelson says, yes, rear steer needs about 1/8 inch more toe in. Oh, I did not know that. Oh, he's saying anything above 140 miles an hour. So, yeah, it has to be due to the compression.
Yes, I agree.
And instead of, like, it'll only spread it so far, like the steel or the metallurgy itself will limit the travel. But when you go to compress it, it does, I imagine it starts taking up all the slack in the joints, in like the tie rod ends, your drag link, your arm. It takes up all that slack. So I think that's probably where he's coming from. Okay. Dead Pedal Motor says news is junk, just makes you depressed no matter what. Yeah, I can agree with that. Let's see. Bear Rose Garage says caster comes into play with higher speed as well.
Yep.
My general setup for a straight axle is rear steer and laid back 8 to 10 degrees, but a full 10 generally needs power steering.
Wow.
Oh, probably at low speed. Yeah.
Yes.
In a parking lot or something. Yeah.
I have 7.5 in my car, and that's about all I'll do. With a manual steering, because man, it's a pain in the butt to turn a corner when you're doing like under 5 miles an hour.
I'll tell you something pretty interesting you might not have known, but you know the old Deuce and a Halfs from like Vietnam era?
Yep.
Okay, the Deuce and a Halfs were manual steering boxes because generally it's less stuff, so it breaks less, right?
Right.
The problem is when you got a 6-wheel drive truck with blocked axles, they don't want to turn.
Right.
And you're sitting in a parking lot and you're trying to turn that wheel and just move that thing.
Yep.
It's the last thing it wants to do. And so what we used to do is you would slip the clutch and just bump it, like it would jerk. And so if you ever see one in a parking lot turning, and it's like, you know, they take these wide turns because they don't like to turn.
Yeah.
And it's just
I drove one for a while.
It's because of the Deuce and a Half has manual steering, and you cannot turn the box. I don't know what the ratio is. They're not high. They're pretty damn low geared. But when you're not moving, those things have a straight axle, and it's all 6-wheel drive, and it's like direct drive stuff. Golly, dude.
I drove one. The guy in Poway had one, and he had it to where he could lock and unlock the front steering, and then the very rear axle he could unlock, right? But he had a broad handle on it, so you could turn it like this, and it was I think it was like a 5-speed transmission or 4-speed transmission. It was a big Whistler, and it was an any fuel engine, so it was a multi-fuel engine.
You're talking about Deuce and a Half, right?
Deuce and a Half, yeah.
And I think they're 5-speed. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they got the craziest shift pattern. It's like it's not even an H. It's like a K maybe, or
it's weird. It's on the dash, but yeah, there's like
it's like a Z or a K. It's something weird, and you would never believe it.
Axle. It had a splitter in it, so like you would have like 5 low, 5 high, and then if you put it in low 4 lock in granny gear at 2,000 RPM, you're doing a mile and a half. You were basically doing a mile an hour. That's it. That's all it would do.
So KS Skyhawk says high-speed driving needs should have plenty of caster. Mine is over 3 degrees. Drive straight down the road. No twitchy stuff. Much easier to drive.
Yeah.
So,
look at Brooke.
Says she is coming for someone in No Name National 26.
Awesome.
I can't wait to see it. And I know Dylan Levi. I believe this is a 6-liter combination in the S10 pickup, because I watched this video where they loaded up a S10, and so I'm assuming it's going to be an S10 pickup with a 6-liter. That
it's perfect.
Let's just say it's probably a bit rowdy.
That's going to be awesome. I'm really stoked, because that's like me and you were talking about that. A truck would be like ultimate, because it's going to be, it's everything.
Actually, Shane and I have already come up with the ultimate combo. If you guys want the ultimate combo, we'll give it to you right now for free. XJ Jeep Cherokee 2-door, right? Gen 3 Hemi. Okay. It doesn't matter what tranny you put in. It'd be cool if it was a manual, but a 904 will work. It's simple. It's easy. It's already a straight axle from the factory, and the rear end is like literally a bolt-in from a 8.8 in a Ranger or Explorer, and the thing doesn't weigh crap.
It's a unibody. It literally is a unibody. You put a cage in it. Now you strengthen it up, and it weighs nothing. You're actually gonna have to probably put weight in that vehicle to get it.
And the good thing is you can put weight right where you need it. It actually to do it right, what you do is take the weight out of the front and just leave all the weight in the rear. Right? Yeah.
Leave all the windows in it. Leave all the glass in it,
But we have said the windows are all straight. You could Lexan those things in your driveway in an afternoon.
That's right. Having a few beers and laughs, right?
Yeah. All right. So Junkyard D says, so in reference to the orphan front solid axle rule, if a non-orphan car came with front solid axle springs, they are legit legal, right? Yep, you got it, buddy.
That's
because
why
that's
we've been telling
factory
you.
suspension.
That's why we've been telling you to get the Jeep, because it comes with a straight axle, front
The
axle.
straight axle is ideal for drag racing and really not much heavy duty trucks, but it's really ideal for drag racing because the suspension geometry does not change when the articulation of the suspension happens, right? It's literally tires that stay the same the whole way. Generally, because they stay the same the whole way down the track, you generally pick up a mile an hour or two because the tires aren't doing anything weird, right? And scrubbing off some of your ET. Andrew Nelson says, correct rear will push up on the center line and cause more toe out at high speed. The front pulls and does not droop as much as the rear steer rises. Okay, I got you.
Okay.
Let's see. Mama M3 says she's bowing out early, guys. Everyone have a great week. Well, we'll see you later.
Yeah,
thanks for stopping by tonight. Andrew Nelson says my rear steer car needed over a 1/4-inch toe in to run 175 miles an hour.
Wow.
That's a lot because it's got to stretch everything at that point.
Yeah, well, you think about it because all the drag, because all that drag on the wheels. Yeah. Yeah, I never even, that's funny because I never even thought about that because I've never done anything high speed as far as like car.
Me neither. And I've never really dug into the rear steer versus the front steer. I just know that the little differences between the two. I do know that rear steer, the only downside to rear steer is the oil pan clearance and header clearance. I mean, otherwise it's really good. Steering jump. That's if you look at all of the high-end cars from the 60s, every high-end car came with a rear steer because it rode nicer going down the road. The steering wheel was easier to keep straight. Yeah. I mean, it was a lot less effort, right?
And I'm looking forward to it because of the 68 Dart. I'm good. My first thing over here at the it was the mile. Was it the Batesville mile or whatever? The mile that's right over here.
It's the one that Junk Car Willie goes to every year. Yeah. And I think Andrew Nelson's going to go to it this year.
Yeah, so whatever it is, but
not the Maxton. Maxton was the old one, and this is the.
Is it Batesville? No,
no, it's.
Well, whatever it is,
Arkansas.
Yeah, whatever
Arkansas
it is.
Mile. There you go.
Arkansas Mile. There you go. Whatever it is. My goal is to do 150 in that car first, and then I'm just going to do 150. Then I'm going to keep bumping it up at 10 miles an hour each time I go. So I'm going to try to see where I get to with an NA Gen 3 Hemi that's going to make about 600 horse. That we'll see what we can get with that with a car that's built like a brick.
Let's see. KS Skyhawk says, Dallas, thanks for your service in the US. Hey, no problem. I appreciate. I got a lot of messages yesterday in mention of Veterans Day. So thanks so much to those of you that did message me. There was quite a few people that did, but yeah, some gave all gave some.
Yeah.
So the factory. Tom Brown says the factory caster angle on my 71 GS is only 0.5. It gets pretty hairy at over 100 miles an hour.
I'd say so. Mopars, it's hard to get 4 degrees on the factory stuff unless you get, you can, manipulate some stuff, right? But on this one here, I was able to get 7 degrees on it. And that's the easiest driving car down the track as far as once you're at speed. The Cookie Monster is now with that corrected geometry.
It's just hard when you're like going no miles an hour.
It's hard, but when you're going down the track, as soon as you get over past that 60 feet, you're over 60 miles an hour, and that thing's already settled in, and you're basically just driving it to keep the rear end behind the car, and that's it. Other than that, the car goes straight down the track. Once you get over 100, it's a dream. Where before it was complete opposite. Once I got over 100, I was trying to put 2 hands on it and try to keep it, because it was doing all this.
My T-Bird is like that. Maybe it's because I never ever all I did was eyeball everything and string it. I just stringed it when I got it together, and it's like all different parts, tubular, lower control arms, and K member, and the whole 9 yards, and I just stringed it in the driveway.
I like what Levi says. I could get down to cutting up a Jeep again. Yes, I'm telling you, man. And they're there. I go to Marketplace. You can get them for like $1,000 out here for nothing, $500.
Yeah, and that's why. Okay. So if you remember it way back when at the beginning of Triple Ground Conversation, like 2.5 years ago, I guess,
right?
There was supposed to be like a rule in there where you could use the Eagle, the AMC Eagle, or as the only four-wheel drive car in the class. And it was kind of like a spoof joke because technically the Cherokee is the Eagle, is the Comanche.
Yes.
If you go look at them all, they're all the same platform. They all
Yeah.
have the same drivetrain stuff, right? That's why we had to say, okay, no bueno on the Jeep, because what would happen is someone would show up with a Gen 3 Hemi and a Cherokee all-wheel drive, and you just couldn't hang.
Yeah.
You know,
Just annihilate everyone.
yeah. So, Tall Garage says, I've got a lot going on for me this year. The transmission is the problem. The only manual I have that has decent gearing is M22, and I don't want to use it in this. Dude, I told you I thought you were getting some kind of Tremec or something. TKO. So, Vintage Adventure Drive says, hey, folks, I just got in from getting a car for my mother. My dad and I got her a 69 Fairlane from my coworker.
Nice.
Sweet, dude. Yeah, that is really nice. Oh, man. Your mom sounds like a lucky gal. So,
here's what Andrew Nelson's saying about that. Caster angle needs to be adjusted with weight. Dragsters are 21 degrees, 3,000 pound casters are 7 to 8, 4,000 under. Is he saying 50? Oh, three.
Under 150 miles an hour is 3 to 4.
Under 150 miles an hour. Yeah. So that's that. I did 7 on mine for that exact reason. Because I'm right at 3,000 pounds with my car. That's what I was kind of doing.
In front engine dragsters, if you ever watch it, if they turn the wheel too far, the wheels lay over.
Lay over. Yep. Yeah, they lay over. And then that's, my car, the Cookie Monster, I've only got a cage to go to an 850. And eventually, that's what's going to go in here is going to be a supercharged Gen 3 Hemi or turbo. And it's, it's going to be an 850 car that I can drive around. And that's eventually what's going to go in.
Also, Andrew Nelson is your savior here. He says Blytheville, Arkansas.
It is Blytheville. Yeah, I knew it was something like that. Somethingville.
Let's see here. Okay, Levi's Backyard Performance. I'm down to specifying a camshaft for the 6.0. Whatever it is, I want it to sound rowdy. Rowdy doesn't always win.
No. Why don't we make it run first and make some power? And whatever it sounds like is what it sounds like. How about that?
Oh, man. I think, that's the ideal thing. You're doing weight to cubic inch.
Yes.
You want it, if it sounds stock as hell and that makes the most power, that's what you want.
Vintage Adventure Drive said, I took the scan for a quick run earlier. I'll be looking to upgrade the oil pan soon. A run without traction saw the oil pressure gauge drop. Wow.
Okay.
Oh.
Junkyard D saying, Brooke, maybe you need to call out Dustin. Well, all right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because he's had 2 years to get an engine running now. Because I gave him that block last year. So, this year actually.
It was this year at No Name National. So he's only had a couple months, dude. Let's see, Bear Road Garage. I forgot about weight distribution in that setup in Sir Rats-a-Lot with the twin I-beam 4. I only went 7 degrees caster because he's 200 pounds heavy in the rear due to the dually. Oh, or do wheel setup. Huh. Ken Skyhawk says, thanks to all, I was in for 4 years. It took me 4 years to get over it. I have more positive sentiment for it the older I get. Hey, I get preferred parking at Home Depot and a 10% discount at O'Reilly's.
Nice.
That you do. I just kind of wish, it sounds a little bit greedy and all, but dude, I get the same treatment at Home Depot, and I put my whole youth in there, whole youth, right? Now
there you go.
Okay,
this is the best. This is the best ever. Brian might be too good of a competitor for Brooke. She's never been on a drag strip, but I'm telling you right now, I think that's going to be a perfect.
I'm sure she's going to remedy that before you go, though.
Exactly. Yep, you're a veteran on the track now. At least you've been on a few times, so you'll show her what to do.
Okay. Tall Garage is saying, they reneged it. Oh, it's okay. He didn't get a deal on that TKO. I kind of need to know or I'll run out of time. Dude, I'll tell you what. That 306 combo, and you're wanting to run in a Fox body, I would put a freaking T5 in it, world class T5. That's what I would do. You're going to get probably 20, 30 passes out of that sucker before it starts to growl.
I think it's going to be faster. In my opinion, it's going to be faster with an automatic.
It's a naturally aspirated inline six.
Yes, it'd be faster with an automatic because it's only going to have a small power window, right?
You think
you
so?
can get the
You think it's going to be faster with an automatic?
It'd be faster with an automatic because that way you could actually gear it and you could hold that converter at making more torque than that engine would ever make.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, because of the delta on the converter.
That's correct. Oh, hey, what's up, buddy? And then
sneaking in here.
And then if he did that, he could run that and then shift the gears and then lock it up. So he would get the torque multiplication that you would never get from the stick shift and get out of the hole. And since it's only an 1/8 mile track, maybe in a 1/4 mile the stick shift would be faster, but an 1/8 mile, I think an automatic would be faster.
You think? But I bet it would probably like a C4 4-speed or the 3-speed.
Exactly.
C4, or maybe they made a C5, or they also did a C3, and I think a C3 has a lockup converter capability. So
yeah, did they ever make a C4 with the lockup?
I don't know. I'm not that savvy on the Fords from because that would have to be the early 80s, and I was not into them until like the Fox body scene. Really, I wasn't into them at all until I saw somebody had like a 92 Mustang trunk model, right? It was painted that like weird raspberry color.
Yeah.
But, my buddy had an 87 Grand National. We went out to Dump Road, and that was our local hot rod spot. Marked off 1/4 mile. And man, he commenced to flogging that Buick so bad. I couldn't believe it because, I mean, in that Buick, we'd freaking spanked everything. And this car came from 100 miles away. I never even expected it. And it was no joke. And we asked him, like, hey, man, what have you done to it? I pulled the air box off, K&N filter, Cobra intake manifold, set of headers. And she runs like 1270s. Oh, and it had like 373 gears. It runs like 1270s. And I'm like, my God. The Grand National at that time, this was before everybody was burning chips and all that stuff. You put a set of slicks on them and you boost it up and put a decent converter in it out of something small, like a V6, non-turbo car. And they would be, like 12.7, 12.6, somewhere around there. Golly, that Mustang was flogging that Buick.
If it was me, I would find some way, like a 904. They do have lockups for those at 8999. And they have to make an adapter for it, but that's a really efficient transmission is a 904, and it comes with a lockup. That's why I'm running one in my Slant 6. But if you can do that, do something like that with a lockup and a high stall, that would actually be your best bet. For being cheap, because you could probably get at the wrecking yard, rebuild it yourself, and be really simple and way farther ahead.
Let's see. Andrew Nelson says the small block Chevy his small block Chevy is a 744 lift cam and idle smooth, choppy idle, crappy carb tune, in my opinion.
Brooks saying everyone may have an advantage with the way I have to shift this thing into gear.
If it's manual, I thought they were doing a manual.
I think so.
I don't think, Brooke, once you get the hang of that, you're going to find out that that's way better.
Yeah, that's right. The hardest thing about the stick is just getting out of the hole and finding the right amount of clutch slip to get out of the hole.
You're not going to have the problem getting it out of the hole. Like, okay, there's usually two factors in that. You either blow the tires off or you kill it off idle, right? You're not going to be killing it off idle because you won't be leaving at 200 RPM. You're going to be leaving at 6,000. Dump the clutch. Just sidestep it, and it comes slinging back, and you just hang on for dear life. Yeah, so that's the fun part. Okay. 9 Finger Wrenching says, man, did you all see Don Baskin's message about Jackson Dragway and Riverside closing?
Yes, but there's already talks about someone else is buying them. So They're already up for sale, and there's already talks. I know a little bit more than I should be saying, but there's that information is on Facebook. There is deals right now, and they're up for sale.
All right. So Dylan Levi saying, Shane, I have a copy of my cam card that's in my Laguna, but I don't think it would work well with the combo. No, that's a turbo cam, dude. It's going to be way wrong for naturally aspirated. You're looking for something. You're and I'm going to think with that stock 6 liter, you're going to be like wanting to be at like 240 degrees, maybe even 250 degrees duration of that thing.
That's a little much. If he's got good heads, 240 is going to be fine.
Yeah. Okay. And then, but yeah, oh, go ahead.
That's going to be like 7,000 RPM with a good head, a 6 liter, 240, on a 110, in that range. That's still going to be 7,000 RPM because the heads are so much more efficient than the older heads.
Yep.
Right. Fab Race Mod Repeat is saying, beware those first time drag racers. Absolutely.
Yeah. They're usually in the winner circle and then they get hooked for life.
Yep. See, Andrew Nelson saying the same thing. That 4-inch stroke will kill the T5. Go automatic. I'm telling you, man, I would go automatic with your combination 100%. Really? You'll go farther. It'd be faster for that combination.
I figured that thing would be a lot of fun with a manual.
It'd be fun, but it wouldn't be fast.
Oh. Huh.
I think you would get more out of it with
random stuff.
Random stuff. You just having fun, trying to get some attention?
Yes. I don't have an iota of what y'all are talking about, so I'm just doing random stuff.
Yeah, you probably have no idea what we're talking about.
But trust me, I'll probably know when I get older.
Oh, well, I hope so. I did my job then.
Danny Boyd saying that his first ever pass yielded a 1593 from a high 13 car. That's usually about right.
Oh, man. I don't. So, Jamie from Dead Dodge Garage, he'd only been on drag strip 7 times when he showed up at No Name Nationals.
Wow. Okay.
And I mean, he was gear banging it with everybody.
Yeah. And I think the very first time he was at the drag strip was actually with just Mopar Joe, I think, at
I think that's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah. Vintage Adventure Drive said, I found the Scamp has around a 4,000 stall. That makes sense why I feel so disconnected. I feel I have a good 8th mile setup. Yeah, usually a 4,000 stall should be fine. He's actually calling you out. Oh, come on now, Dallas. Ain't yours a stick?
Yep, mine's a stick. That's why I was telling you. I wanted you to run a stick. Oh, my T-Bird? My T-Bird is not a stick.
No, but he's talking about your Buick. Yeah, but he's got a lot of power. He's going to have decent power, decent torque, decent RPM. You're going to be dealing with a lot less. Oh, here you go. That's what I was looking for. There you go. Hey, Wyatt. There's your little.
That's Mr. Chris Cox. You remember him?
Oh yeah.
Probably not.
Maybe. No.
Triple Crown rules finalized yet? We are trying to get going on builds. Yeah.
We already told you what the rules are. But, I mean, I just haven't typed them up. That's it.
Yeah. The only amendments were the ones that we talked about. Was it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? Other than that, they're the same, but with those amendments, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Bear Rose. This is exactly right. Me and Dallas have said this so many times. I totally dig chassis setup and tuning, though. It's almost like tuning an engine, but doesn't get the spotlight. Probably why I lean towards rat rods, where I can show off a little better. Here's the thing: is that my car, when I built the 408 in it, it would run like, say, a 660. I did nothing to the engine, but I was just getting the transmission, the suspension setup, and whatnot. And I got that car all the way down into the was it the 620, 630s. So I picked up almost 0.4 of a second in the 8th mile just by getting the chassis right, doing nothing to the engine. And you had the same type of thing too, where you did nothing but just suspension work.
I did all suspension stuff for like, I bet 2 months of test and tune. and I would go to the track with just one thing that I was going to mess with, right? So I did, and how I did it was very archaic compared to a lot of people, but I just went to the track and I had a tape measure and I was measuring from the wheel well to the ground, right? And all I would do was change ride height. That was it. I would change ride height and angle and see how it was 60 foot. And I was just paying attention to my 60 foot, and I ended up picking up like, I think 2.5 tenths, 60 foot, just by getting the ride height correct and the angle on the rear end correct.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, but I mean, man, there's so much ET in suspension.
Yes.
Especially the more power you make, the more exacerbated it is, right? But there's just so much ET in suspension when you get it right.
Also, too, there's like even in the drive shaft. This is your drive shaft. This is your pinion angle. Whenever you put torque to something, it wants to straighten out, right? So having your pinion up or your pinion down is either going to push the rear end into the ground or have a little bit of squat. Only a couple degrees makes a big difference, but that even just your angle of your axle, that makes a huge difference too. And that's
right. And the more power that's applied, the more angle it creates. It tries to create, right?
It tries to create. Yes. On mine, it doesn't create anything anymore because of the 4-link now. So all it's doing is moving, but if you have the angle, it's trying to move it down. So it's either moving it this way or moving it this way. So you can use some of your pinion angle to set some of the tuning of how that thing's going to react as far as when it launches.
Right. You can actually use your pinion angle to do like the radial guys where it forces the wheels down by lifting the body up, by forcing the body upward.
Yeah. And also too with your anti-squat. And since I have these MOD shocks, I have a fine tuning, I have the slow speed and the high speed tuning on it. So I've been really adjusting the low speed on those, so that way I can get my pinion angle just right, because I don't want the car to raise up. I'm trying to get it so that way it just settles and then slowly rides as it goes out.
Yeah. So up here above that, Fab Race Mod Repeat says we never messed with them. However, lockup C4 is what the C5 conversion was all about. So you can find a C5 Ford. That would be a lockup C4. So they're perfect. C4 is really low reciprocating weight and low horsepower. Like it doesn't rob a lot of horsepower at all.
No,
it's on par with like Turbo 350 or probably 904. I think isn't the 904 the least horsepower robbing transmission there is? Okay.
And the very next one is the C4. It's within 2 of the 904. It's within 2. So yeah, I would go with the C4 and a lockup. And
C5.
Go with the C5, man. I'm telling you, that would be your hot ticket. Get that thing at like 4,000 stall, 3,500 stall. Get that thing out there going. And as soon as you go to second gear, lock that sucker up. And that way it's in direct drive and just let her eat. Yeah. Andrew Nelson, though, read this one. This is good.
Yeah, my first car ran consistently 22s, 115 horsepower, 235, Stowbolt 6 with the split slide power glide.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the Draggy in the wife's Beaver. That is a completely stock slant 6 with a Holley 1920 carb. It still has the stock exhaust all the way out, the small little thing. I'm going to put it in there and see what it runs in the quarter mile.
I bet it's probably like 20s or 21s.
You think? I think it's going to be under 20. 19. I think it's going to be under 20.
19s.
I think it's going to be. It's under 20. That's all I'm saying.
So 9 Finger Wrenching says I'm going to redo my 8.8 rear end soon. Going to change from a 3-weight to a 373. They say that will really wake the car up. It depends. I don't know if you're talking 5-liter Mustangs, it's going to be a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it is on 4.6s. I imagine it's kind of the same, but I bet the 4.6 would want something like 411 or 456 gear.
Levi's saying that it's going to be an automatic because he doesn't have manual.
We ain't got manual trans money, dude. I sent you like a bunch of them. None of them were really expensive. It's just when you start putting it all together, the shifter, the bell housing, the clutch, the tranny. It's like, dude, that's piles of money.
Mm-hmm.
I've been
But-
cobbling mine together for 5 years, and I still am waiting to find a good deal on a shifter.
Yeah, I mean, I've got this TKX here that's going to go in that car, but I'm like, that would be a really, really good because that's 600 horse, 7,000 RPM capable shifter cars. Like, well, that's like a perfect drag tranny right there, you know?
Vintage Adventure Drive says that my first pass ever was a mid 18-second pass. The car ended up running mid 17s after I changed the fuel filter. Sounds like you had those cars like that. I'm telling you that I used to drag race like that all the time. Like my car ran 1540, right? But it was literally a junkyard 350 Buick 2-barrel and a 81 Regal. And 255 rear end gears and a turbo 350 transmission. That was where I had the most fun at the drag strip, was like that thing you could run pass after pass after pass after pass. And like after about 20 passes, the radiator would be in like nuclear meltdown state. Right? It's like jumping up and down in the car.
Yeah.
But it still go up there and run the number like right after that. So
Levi's got a great point to Ken. Ken, automatics are cheap. 400 can be bought for about $300, a $400 converter used, and it's good for about 500 horsepower just with the cheap rebuild. And that's exactly right. You can take a 904, a turbo 350, or a C4, just do a rebuild on them, put an extra clutch here and there, put a decent valve body in it. You know, you get one of those valve body rebuild kits, and it will handle 500 horse all day long. It'll be just fine.
Tom,
Go ahead.
yes, that's 100% true.
Yep.
And then it's not fun if it's always broken. That seems to be the inherent problem with the stick shift racing.
Yep.
I think I'm just going to go like lower horsepower, and that's it. They don't break all that often when it's low horsepower, and it doesn't matter if it's fast. It'll be fun as hell for me.
Yeah. Oh, and Bear Rose gave us $2. So awesome, man. That keeps the light on. Thank you right here. Right there, keeps the light on.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And right below that, Tom Brown says, head question, can you still make big low-end power with a set of high-flowing heads, maybe around 320 CFM, if you have the right cam?
Yes, absolutely.
Or can you not make up the velocity difference with a camshaft?
Won't make any difference.
Well,
I'm telling you, this has been...
You can make that big port flow with the right camshaft.
Yes,
right.
exactly.
Like you can make it have that torque velocity. The velocity through the port's what makes the torque.
Yeah, right? And this has been proven. This is the old wives' tale. If you got too big of a head, you're going to kill all your low end torque. This has been proven on the internet 1,000 times over. Buy the best head you can, because it will always make better power, because it's just going to head. It's just going to be flow. These are just air pumps. The more pump air you get in, the more air you get out. Just like people say, you got to have back pressure to make torque. Crap. Just get the air out. You want the air to get out because it's just pumping air. So,
yeah,
yes.
if you want to make torque, you narrow up the port. So to like tell you where the wives' tail fell short was the Cleveland head. They used to say the big 4-barrel Cleveland head was a turd. It wouldn't make any torque. Well, it came factory on a 302, the Boss 302, and they were probably pretty soggy. Any 302 Ford I've ever put a set of cylinder heads on got soggy. Every single one of them got weak in the bottom end.
Yeah.
But on the 351 Cleveland, I imagine that did fix some of it. But in my opinion, and when you're looking at that engine, the only thing that was really wrong with that 4-barrel Cleveland head with the big port was it didn't have enough cubes, because then it made the port velocity happen so much sooner in the RPM band. That's why I did what I did with my T-Bird, was stroke that sucker, make much more cubes. But yeah, they did make that port smaller on the Pro Stock ones.
Yeah. Junkyard D says, what are you guys' thoughts about this ranunculus big wing radial cars flying across the finish lines, breaking speed records, 260 miles per hour range lately? This is exactly why we did the Triple Crown, is because we want to have fun, heads up racing on a budget, and still have that competition where you're not having to basically have a low flying plane with it that's on your wheels, going across it's just ridiculous.
And be $200,000 in debt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Dr. Go's one here. Go ahead and read this one.
First pass down 8th mile was easy because I have a slow car, 12.3 car in the 8th, and likely 20 seconds in the quarter. I never left first gear and hit 54 miles an hour. I stay in it all the way. I stayed at way longer going down a highway. Dr. Go is slow.
It's a
You didn't
freeway
say Dr.
on-ramp.
Go fast.
Yeah. When I did Six Smokies, my car was my goal was to get up to freeway speed at the end of the 8th mile. That was my goal. And I was at 60, 61 miles an hour to 62, I think was my best speed. That's a freeway. That's getting on the freeway. So I was A-okay with that.
I don't know, man. I kind of look at it like it depends what you're doing here, right? Like if you have no car and you go to the racetrack, any car makes that fun happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, does it really matter how fast it really is? If you know you're not going to be the fastest guy there, here's the thing. Like when Shane and I were out in Southern California racing in that 20 or the 10.5 NA class, it kind of hit me one day when we were all standing there in a big circle, and it was like one person wins at the end of the day, and everyone else is a loser, right?
Yep.
Every other person is a loser. And when you look at it like from that regard, when you just have like, if you were to set it up for a match race, best out of 3, half the people in the circle would be a winner.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to people.
And
that's where it
why,
got to be a lot more fun. When you start looking at it from that regard, you're like, you know what? You're right. If one person goes home with all the money, do you really need to pay out for this? Is the chances of you winning pretty slim? Yeah, they're pretty dang slim.
Mm-hmm.
Just take into consideration that you don't get any money and do your one race, best of 3 match race, and you have so much fun doing it. It gives you a completely different perspective.
That's why I think we should do some. Me and you should start setting up some match races, not necessarily for the no-name nationals. I'm just saying, just in general.
I think what would be cool is get a few Triple Crown cars and then start running around doing best of 3 match races. I think that would be cool because it is evenly paired cars based on a class, right? And you just run them around doing some match racing, some Triple Crown match racing. I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
Actually, you know
Danny
what?
Boyd,
we don't even have to do that. We can just do it based off of ET. So
right. Danny Boyd saying, I think you'd want the drive shaft straight during the most stressful time, shock and launch. Actually, they tell you to put them at a degree down or a degree up. They actually don't want them straight.
Yeah, that depends on really what your
front end.
bushings are.
Yeah, exactly. So that's actually part of the tuning process is it moving this way or moving that way? It is part of the tuning.
Yeah, so they say if you got rubber bushings, it's 4 to 5 degrees down angle. Yeah. And then it'll rotate upwards as the stress is applied to it, right? Mm-hmm. What was it? Urethane bushings is 2 degrees, and then solid bushings is 1 to 1.5.
Yep, that's what I got. Yeah, so because you're going to have some sort of deflection. There's going to be some sort of deflection somewhere, and then the 1 degree is really part of the. Do you want it to ramp this way or do you want it to ramp that way type of deal? Levi is saying that Junker, there's not radial prep cars going 260 in the 8th. He says he promises. I'm not sure what they're going, but they're going really fast.
In the 8th, I saw. Oh, what was Cletus Farland's car just ran. It just ran in the quarter, but it ran a 388 radial prep.
Yeah, I think it was going like 160 or 170.
No, it was 215 in the 8th.
It was 215 in the 8th. Okay,
215 in the 8th at 380.
Wow, that's still fast, man. Wow. What's a good pinion angle to be the mess of a 10 and Superstock Springs Leafs just getting to watch tonight. I'll be back to listen. Okay. That really comes down to your impedance number and how much preload you're putting in your impedance number. 2, what shocks you have and what you're running for the shocks. I used to run, if it was just a impedance number, I think they tell you to 4 degrees down, I think is what it is. I'm just going by memory, but I have a chassis book up here. I'll look at it. But memory serves me, it was 4 degrees down. if it was not preloaded. So when it would hit and then go down, it would bring it. And then I think it was like if it was preloaded, maybe it was 6 degrees down if it wasn't preloaded. I don't remember off the top of my head, but there's a preload and a non-preload. So when I would go to the track, I would jack it up and then I would raise it up a pin, and that would actually preload it, so it was actually holding it down. So when the car would get up on it, it would pull up and it would use the weight. There was no distance between that, and it would actually hit really hard then. When I went to a trans brake, super stock springs became almost worthless in my car.
So, KS Skyhawk said, I may be old, but I'm confused about your wife's beaver. I'm trying hard to remain wholesome and upright about this. It's intended to be like that. It's meant to be an innuendo.
That's correct. Right? It's called the Creamy Beaver. That's the car.
Yeah, he bought his wife. And to be fair, the car is a cream color, right? Yeah. But it's a slant 6-dart 4-door that he got for like $3,000 on the West Coast, and it's clean, and he uses it as a daily driver. It's his wife's car, and she named it the Creamy Beaver.
Yeah. If you watch one of my videos, I think if you go to videos and it's under like playlist, and I'll say like Beaver or whatever it is, I think it says Creamy Beaver, and there's actually a thing in there where she's taking it for the test drive the first time, and it's called the Creamy Beaver. And in fact, the kids even call it creamy car ride is what they call it, even to this day.
Okay. So Nick the Van Man has shown up, and I'm hoping he's doing well. I know he was doing his un-EFI conversion on his van.
Yep. So here you go.
This is a carburetor and a flat tappet camshaft.
He says he's managed to sell off all his EFI stuff to pay for the cam, intake, and distributor. Got my carb for free. I'm only in my cam, EFI to carb swap for linkage, gaskets, and fluids. So there you go. That's awesome. Levi's saying that it's probably 3 degrees, but he's no expert. Yeah, it's. I think it's 3 or 4 degrees. It's right at that number.
Leaf spring car with rubber bushings in it, and I'm assuming it's probably 4 or 5. It's probably quite slack.
Yeah, but there's 2 different settings, one preloaded, non-preloaded, and I don't remember off the top of my head.
I don't know for a leaf spring car. It would have to be something similar, just because it's based on the rotation of the suspension itself and how far it's going to allow the pinion to go up.
Yeah, and what it is too is that the pinion number, when you preload it, it actually hangs it down 2 degrees extra, because the weight of the vehicle is pushing on it. So as soon as you get on the gas, it's already starting to try to rotate the car, and it just literally shoves that rear end into the ground.
That's why those Mopars always used to look so weird coming out. And I could never figure out why that was, but it's because they all had the pinion snubbers. And then like the GMs with the triangulated forelinks didn't have that.
Yeah, that's right. They would squat. They would squat. They would squat. Totally different thing. And also too, the leaf springs are set up so like the very front, like is only like 12 or 18 inches from the center of the axle to the front eye leaf, where the rest of it was the leaf spring. So you'd have these massive stacks of leaves in the front, and then like 2 going back, to allow that thing to move.
Okay. Vintage Adventure Drives. I remember a guy trying his hardest to run 19s in his Jeep. He was so excited when he hit the number.
Yeah.
And you realize what it was all about, beating yourself and having fun. It's all about the fun.
Yes.
So that was what the whole idea behind No Name Nationals, and when I did the slanted nationals with the AHRA originally, was what it was all about. Way back when in the 90s, it was not uncommon to see a dad drive to the drag strip, and the mom would be in the passenger seat, the kids would be in the back, and when they get to the track, all the doors would open up, the trunk would come open, they'd bolt some slicks on, the seats would come out of the car, everything was laying right there, and then they go make passes. But what you've seen is over the years of I don't know what you would call it. It's more like the scienced out bracket racing, to where it's literally a gnat's ass in every pass, where you give up half a thou to the regular guy can compete. You can't show up on a weekend and just have fun.
Yep.
Right. So the whole idea about the slanted nationals was around that format, and we used that same format and put it around the no name nationals, where it was essentially one big test and tune and drag race of against your peers, people that showed up with cars that they might not even know what it runs because they've never ran it before.
Yeah.
That was what it was put the fun back in it and take a lot of the BS out. Let's see. Andrew Nelson says no prep cars ever run 260 miles an hour, and I agree with that. I'm just saying I know Cletus McFarland ran 215. That's the highest I've ever heard in the 8 mile. Okay.
I'm trying to get down here, see if there are any more questions. Listen, they're just talking back and forth. Oh, here we go. Here you go. The question for you.
Tom Brown says, Dallas, your opinion on milling off most of the exhaust runner on a set of small block Buick heads to make a set of stage 2 runners? Think it would work, or will I run into a water jacket? Okay. What I do know, I've been wanting to do this since last year, or was it last year or the year before? I think it was just last year, but it might have been 24, May of 24 at the Buick Nationals. Buick had Denny Manor had his experimental Buick equipment test tent at the Buick Nationals. So he had all the experimental cylinder heads and blocks and intake manifolds and cars and stuff at the 2024 Buick Nationals. They had a set of stage 1 heads that had the exhaust side milled off and a plate bolted to it, which raised the exhaust port a half of an inch. It actually kind of looked like a Mopar small block, but you had a big block Buick cylinder head, right? Where the ports are raised really high. And then they had a radical port design because it was more or less the shape of the runner. And I've been kind of actually kicking that whole idea around myself on the small block Buick, because I think there's a lot to be gained on that. I think that you could really pull off 25 to 30 horsepower by moving that exhaust port up that high. There's a reason why every aftermarket cylinder head has a high port exhaust and intake side.
Yeah.
Right. The exhaust port just changes the angle on it, everything coming out.
Mm-hmm.
The Buick has, like, I don't know what you want to call it, the anteater on the exhaust port. Yeah.
It loops around.
I like to call it the foreskin, because I mean, it's literally what it's like. Why would you cast this extra stuff in here for no reason, right? But I've been wondering that same thing myself. And Tom, I mean, I'd be more willing to help you out on that, because I've been wondering the same exact thing myself.
Andy's saying right here that he's going to need a loaner A body, raffle the engine off at the end of the race and yank it out. How about this? Why don't you build the engine and then find a worthy recipient and put it in their car and then raffle it off at the end of the race? If you don't have the car, that would actually work really good. There's plenty of people running Mopars out there. Who was the guy? Who was the guy that went to the finals in the A body? In that Barracuda, what was his name?
That was Stephen Myrick's brother. Is it Michael Myrick?
Yeah, I think it's Michael Myrick. Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect candidate right there. There's Vintage Adventure Drives. I mean, he's got a big, heavy car. But yeah, that'd be awesome.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll say that would probably be the easier way to go, because to find an A body is not going to be inexpensive in the Mopar world.
I see. Junkyard DC McFarland ran 261 in the quarter mile. He did, but we ran 215 in the 8th, 215 in the 8th.
Yeah. Michael Schmitz asked in Dallas, will you pop the clutch 100% or let the clutch out slowly at the drags in your car? I guess is what he's talking about.
No, what they used to call it was sidestep the clutch.
Yep.
So it's like you're dancing and you just move your feet to the side, right? And the clutch will come slamming back.
Yeah.
The cheater way in the 70s used to be put a trailer brake on the clutch pedal. and you'd push the clutch pedal down and then engage the trailer brake. And then when you get the car in the lights where you want on the with the roll control, then you would let off the button, and the button would control the trailer brake and the roll control at the same time.
What I did is I had a Volkswagen. I used to drag race a lot. I had the roll control in the front for the burnout. But when I went up to the line, I had the e-brake still hooked up, and I took the button out of it. And so what I would do is I would go up there and I would hold the clutch out, so it was actually putting
dragging?
load. Yeah, it was dragging. And so then, but I was at a lower RPM, but I could feel it dragging, and I was pulling up on that thing with all my might. And then this is at Carlsbad. And then when that the third light would come on, or the second light would come on, I'd put it to the floor, and then and then at that point, there's a lot of drag now on the clutch, and I would just drop the brake. The car would want to roll, because I was racing in the super stock class where I had to run a 165/15 tire. And as soon as it would get half a rotation, then I would sidestep it. But I would have the clutch out just so that way the car would actually want to move forward. But it was just enough but you're going to burn the clutch up. I mean, you're racing it. That's just the way it works. So.
Okay, so I think Michael Schmidt's asking what type of clutch you do that with. So I have a 3-finger McLeod clutch. It's never been ran, but it is like 30 or 40 years old. It was in the box when I got it. So,
Yeah. Vintage Adventure Size, Dick Lanny would like to put 4 degrees on his race cars. Yes, it's 4 degrees. I remember it being 4. So yes. Sorry, I was just reading through these because we had a few people here donate some super chats. So I want to get to those real quick.
I do want to get to those too. Thank them.
Yep, exactly. So here, this is a $5 one. Any guesses how my custom grind cam in my 302 will be an idle? So 218 on a 108. Oh, so it's going to talk to you with a 0 degree advance, and he's going to install 2 degrees advance, 2 degrees on that. Yeah, so 106. I always like my cams at 106 ICL. It works well.
I think it's chop.
Yeah, it's going to be chopped. That's going to be like your what's that cam? It was
probably a B cam.
Is the E as in Edward?
The B has the E has a little bit of chop, and the B has some. It's got a cam.
Yeah, but the B was like 224, wasn't it? It's going to sound like one of those old letter cams, is what it really is going to sound like, because that 108 is really going to hit hard. So
hold on a second. I got a cam card here for a B cam somewhere.
Yeah, there's a B, an E, and a D, isn't there? Is there a D cam?
No, E, or it's B, F,
That's
E,
it.
X. But I have a cam card here from E cam, I think. Somewhere on there.
It's going to sound good because that 108 is really going to talk to you. If with a custom grind cam, though, especially on a Ford, I know a lot of people don't like these, but I'm telling you, you always run a little bit longer on that exhaust. So I would have 218 is great. I would have put at least a 224, maybe even a 226 on that exhaust for the higher RPM.
I think all the letter cams were single pattern cams.
Yes, they were 100%. Yeah.
So,
but I'm saying if it was a custom grind, I would have put more on the exhaust just for the over rev and the mid range. So, but yeah, it's going to sound really, really, really good. You're going to enjoy that. It's going to talk to you. Oh, even Andy says it. Yeah, it's going to sound good.
Yeah.
Michael Schmidt, thank you. I appreciate it. Keeps the lights on.
Yeah, we're keeping the lights on for sure tonight.
And all the money that we get for this, I put it all to the side, and this all goes into, to No Name Nationals for either trophies or whatever we get. Whenever we do giveaways, that's why I always have really, really cool giveaways for Edelbrock or whatever it is, for that reason. So I
think everybody gave away a plethora of stuff this year.
Yes, we did. And that was because I had some extra cash to throw in there because you guys were donating. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Levi's Backyard Performance. Oh, wait, hold on. Andy says, Unity Motorsports Garage, Shane Dallas, we need to plan the date for the 2-lane blacktop cruise. Is this something that I'm not familiar with?
He was wanting to do okay. So what the 2-lane blacktop cruises is that we were talking about it, but we're not really sure if it was set in stone. But we're going to do is we're going to go do the same route that they just did for the Six Smokies, but like do the exact same type of thing, but like the Six Smokies route, because a lot of that was on the 2-lane blacktop. In fact, there's a scene in there when they're driving.
So we're just going to take the same trip that they took for 2-lane blacktop through Middle Tennessee area.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it ended up that drag strip that they go to is actually right there by you.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
It's closed down now. But
it's actually gone now. When I first got here, I went over and checked it out, and I was able to drive on it. But now they've tore it all up. But yeah, there's a part in that movie where they drive on a curve around on a bridge, and there's water in the background. We went right past that area. In fact, that was a checkpoint on one of the on like day number 4.
Dude, we need to do that.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
Oh, I'll tell you something cool here, man. All right, I'm going to show you something here. I don't know if Clint wants me to say anything, but I'm going to say it anyway. Okay. Clint sent me this today in a text message. All right, we're working on the Buick 300 for his truck, right? And I'm not scrolled down to the bottom, so I can't see if he's saying don't say anything. But he was over here. We were working on this motor, and he asked me a couple questions, and I told him, I said, dude, if you really wanted to build something cool, you could build a cool tunnel ram on that motor, because a 4-liter Rover intake manifold has a throttle body on it, like an EFI throttle body. It has it has like a bread box on top of an intake manifold, right?
Welded on.
Well, I took the bread box off one day, okay, and I saw at the junkyard what it was like, and I thought, dude, I just need to build a box around this, and I was going to make it out of Lexan and put 2 carbs at the top, dude. This is what they look like underneath the bread box on the Rover intake manifold. Okay. Let me turn that background off.
Yeah, turn the background off.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now it's me in white, and you can see him clearly. Okay. This is what they look like underneath the bread box. It's a tuned runner intake manifold, right? And I was going to make a Lexan top for that and put 2 like 390 Hollies on it.
Yeah.
I thought it would look totally bitchin', right? But you got to make a 1/2-inch spacer. But Clint's he bought one. That's his picture. He sent that to me today. He's like, dude, I need to stay away from you. You're a bad influence, And he's like, I bought one. It was $80 on eBay.
Oh, you can't go wrong there. Yeah.
You can't go wrong with that. No.
You can't go wrong. And now you got a welder, right?
Well, I do, but Clint bought that, and he's going to make an intake. He's going to make a top for it, and I think it'd be badass because he can make like a tunnel ram out of that deal.
Yeah. And make sure you film that, Clint, because people want to see that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Levi's got a question. Levi's got a tech question here.
But Michael Schmidt threw us $13.50. You got that one?
Oh, yeah. He said, great chat.
All right. I didn't want to miss that one.
Yeah. Tech question. How much power is gained by using hydraulic roller cam on with solid roller setup? So you're basically putting solid rollers on a hydraulic cam. You got to talk with the cam manufacturer and find out where the lash should be set. A lot of them are going to be either like, say, 2, 3, some are 6, some are 8. It really comes down to the ramp rates. But literally, it's power across the board. As far as a number, it's hard to tell, but it will literally train track up, and especially on the upper end, they will just completely diverge from each other. But it will literally train track and then diverge at the top end. It's always going to be better. Plus, it's even a lighter setup, anyways.
That's the game. That's the game.
Well,
is that right?
It's a game there, but the hydraulic, if the hydraulic is set up correctly, it will diverge at the top, and that's where it only will diverge. But a lot of people only set them up with just a barely bit preload, so you start losing. You start losing as like right at the 4,000 RPM, they start falling farther and farther apart.
I was actually going to say the same thing. Is like, okay, if you have a hydraulic roller set up already, do like Shane does and take them 20 thousandths off the bottom, and then done. It's going to be a solid, right? But when you're looking at how much mass it takes out of that lifter, Shane and I talked about this before.
Yeah.
When I did the small block Buick super stock motor, I think we pulled 30 grams out of each rock or each individual piece of valve train. So rocker arm, push rod, lifter, all the way. And what we found was, okay, on the opposite side of the fulcrum, remember the fulcrum is, you probably got a 1.5 or 1.6 or maybe even a 1.7 ratio, but 1.5 makes things easy. If it's, let's say you take 10 grams off this side, it's 1.5 times across to the other side. How much have you removed?
Yep.
Right. So 10 grams is now 15 grams, right? That you remove off this other side. And when you're doing the lifter itself, okay, the spring is what has to push it up on this side. And it has a 1.5 times ratio. So that lifter, if you lose, let's say, I don't know, 1 pound.
Well, it's about,
right?
they're about 20 to 30 grams.
Okay, easy 20 to 30 grams. But I'm saying your spring is now working so much less, and it can control the valve so much better that your RPM band widens by 500 RPM just over the hydraulic lifter, because it can control the valve train. That's it. That's all it's doing. There's nothing different. It's not flowing any different. It's nothing like that. It's actually capable of controlling the valve better without having to waste any energy, wobbling around.
Yeah. And because of that, so every 100 grams or every 10 grams is 100 RPM is usually what it is on the valve side. So, and on this side, it's about let's just call it, say 10 grams is another 100 RPM. So if you're losing, say 20 or 30 grams on the lifter side, that's another 200 or 300 RPM right there, right off the top, doing nothing else. Also too, it's just going to be, the moment of inertia is really where you're gaining it all. So it makes a big difference. And now you have direct contact with it, and there's really no mush in it. Even with the hydraulic lifter, once you get over 4,000 RPM, it's hard to fill that lifter back up. And you're going to, even if you do it 20 thousandths off the bottom, you're still going to be losing 20 thousandths right off the bat if that thing's compressed. So yeah, it's always good. And here's one. This is a really good one. 360s with hypertechnic pistons. What's my RPM limit? Pistons are ass.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
He does say further down, a Mopar roller with a stock stroke 360, lift 580 and duration 250, 254.
Oh, is it down there?
It is at 826.
Okay. Stock stroke. Okay. Oh, that's a decent cam. Okay, so here's the thing: is that my recipe engines, I would spin those up to 6,500, and then even with the hypertechnic, as long as you're not running any power adders, I was turning those at 7,200 all the time, and for a long time I was still hitting with 150 shot, 200 shot of nitrous on the hypertechnic. If you get the gap right, it will survive, and the tune is right. So I'm going to tell you right now that if it's set up right, you got good balance on it, you got a good rod bolt, and you got good rods on it and a good setup. I'm going to say that I have personally done them hypertechnics to 72 to 7,400 RPM and never had a single problem with them with no power adders. I've had no problem with them.
So there's a little bit of talk here.
Yep.
All right. So one, Bear Rose is talking about how he would launch his sand drag car with a stick, right? And so he was heel and toe in it from the brake to the gas, but he was saying he used Chuck Taylor's, right?
Andy's out. Andy's out. Thank you, Andy. Thank you very much for the $20. I appreciate it. Like I said, all this, I keep track of all this. It all goes to the No Name Nationals.
And then, so he was saying he calls it the Chuck Taylor launch control system.
Where's this at?
This is further down at 828.
I'm past that. Now let's see here. 828.
We passed him. Okay. And then right after that, Junkyard D was asking Andy, are you talking about an A body for Triple Crown? And then Andy said, yes, this would be for Triple Crown. So he's trying to wrangle up the Triple Crown to put the Mission Impossible into the A body.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 13.
Triple Crown is what I'm thinking, right?
Yep.
Let's see.
Michael Schmidt says, I want a Creamy Beaver t-shirt. My wife hates it. That's awesome. That's right.
Flint Street Machine says he will. He told me to go for it, and then he said he will put a video of it up. I think it's going to be one cool thing because he said, hey, man, check this out. And he just sends me a picture of it. And we were talking about it when it was here, and I'm like, dude, the coolest intake would be find one of those things and then build a bread box on top and then put 2 4-barrels on top, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, oh, yeah, well, where do you find one of those? And what engine's it off of? And I'm like, I was telling him all this stuff. And then he said, man, when I got home, I started researching that intake and I found one on eBay for $80 shipped to my house. And I'm like, oh, dude, that's a steal.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Dizzy's saying that Andy how do you say that? Klausuth and Sons Mopar Salvage in Missouri. It's got 1,200 plus cars. One of my first videos. So there you go. That's a great place to go. You know, you just need a shit box. Hey, look, if I don't hear, I'll say it here live on this. If I don't have this Plan Z running and driving by that, well, actually, he can't use it for Triple Crown. Never mind. I was gonna say I'd let him use. I'd just let him take this one and use this if it's not running. But the leaf springs have been moved on this one because of the rust.
Put some floors back in it. Move them back.
But the eye holes, they were so rusted, I had to move them because there was no rust. It was actually the driver's side was just so rusted. I was trying to put them in the factory spot, but there was nothing to weld it to.
I figured there was going to be nothing there because the trunk was gone in that thing.
It was
like,
gone.
Literally, there's nothing.
No, it was gone. Literally, even where I cut the frame, I had to reinforce the frame. And you know, I feel safe about it now. But at that time, I'm just like, what am I going to do here? Like, I kept looking at it for a day. Like, if I cut this, it's just going to fall apart. You know, it's bad when you have to weld. You go to Home Depot and have to weld an angle iron into the trunk, into the body, because when you cut that off, you're worried that the car is going to collapse on the jack stands. It's scary.
So 38 Racing saying, won't running the lifter plunger that far down cause pump up?
Nope. Negative, because you can't. Here's the thing, is it's pounds per square inch. So let's do some math here. And this is a big wives' tale, and this is because they don't understand hydraulics and how they work. So let's just say on your lifter, on your spring, you have 400 pounds over the nose. So you're going to have 400, and then you have to times that by 1.5 with your rock arm ratio. So that comes out to 600 pounds. So that's what your lifter sees, 600 pounds, right? So then, and then on your lifter, on the hydraulic end of it, that's in the side, let's just say that's 3/8 of an inch. So we take 0.375 here, and then we divide that by 2, square that, then you times that by pi, and that's going to give you an area. That's the area because it's pounds per square inch. So we're going to get the square inch of area. So your square inches is that right there, right? So now we take that area, and then we times that answer times by, let's just say you're running an astronomical amount of oil pressure. Let's just say, for sake of argument, 120 pounds of oil pressure, some ridiculous number. So if you had 120 pounds of oil pressure, the only pressure that's going to see is 13 pounds. 13 pounds. That's all it's going to produce on that lifter, because it's pounds per square inch. And since the square inch is so small, it's not going to put 120. It's only going to put that amount because it's a surface area thing. So you have 600 coming this way, and you have this. What actually happens is it's bleed off. And that's the reason why I put them all the way at the bottom, is because it cannot recover in time. When it's on the base circle of the camshaft is when the oil fills the lifter, and that actually fills it back up inside the thing. And as it goes over the nose, it squishes out, and then it fills back up. And when people would put only, like, say 20 from the top, then you have 110 thousandths of movement in that lifter. And then it just keeps squishing and squishing and squishing. And then it doesn't pump up. It's actually bleed down, and it just won't run anymore. So running them off the bottom, it basically turns them into a solid. Then the closer you get them to the bottom, actually the better. But I tend not to have people go closer than 20 thousandths. but 20 thousandths off the bottom, then turns it into like a solid if it bleeds off. But that's the reason why they really do not pump up, is that right there. That's all it is. It's nothing.
Okay, so Dust Devil Garage says, Shane, your beaver comment almost made me crash the probe setting up my mill.
Creamy beaver, hotter than a fever. Well, you got to have it. If you've been married as long as we have, 26 years, you got to have a little bit of fun. So, yeah, that's right.
All right. So Clint he's somebody was asking about, because he wants to do a manual in the S10. Okay. He wants to put a T5 behind that 300 Buick, right? Mm-hmm. And the problem he's running into is the same problem everybody runs into, is the bell housing is the easy thing to come by. The flywheel is impossible to find. Yes. And he doesn't want to drop $450 for just a flywheel.
And that's the problem.
And I'm like, dude, that's the only option. And so now they're talking about it. Somebody might have a bell housing for him. Somebody might actually have a flywheel.
He's talking about, the T5 is a hydraulic master slave, but fabbing doesn't scare me. I have a Chevy Trans adapter for now. So okay.
Yeah, and that's probably the best way to go, is just use the hydraulic setup. Hey, tell you what, Clint, you could actually get that bell housing and clutch fork from who had that? Was it Tom Brown that had it? The one from a Monza or whatever, a Skyhawk. And then they make I'm trying to think of who it is. Somebody makes a completely hydraulic setup for that specific application. Mm-hmm. Complete hydraulic setup. I was looking at it the other day. So I'm trying to think of who it is.
38 Racing said he might have some old BOP bells somewhere. So perfect, awesome. Awesome. Tom Brown's England.
Yeah.
Said he might have a billet one from TA, but waited 8 months for it. Have around 50 pounds, one more for a 225 on fire, but it's pretty heat cracked in the clutch area, the clutch circle. So that's awesome.
I have one of those too. It's a Jeep one. So it's
do you think if the cracks are deep, can you cut them out?
I'm just going to use it for the dyno. I had no plans of using it as a flywheel or for a car any longer. But I don't know what you could do. I mean, that thing they're cast iron, right?
Oh, yeah, you're fucked. Yeah.
I mean, you could weld it, but I'd be scared of the sucker afterwards.
Yeah, if it's cast iron, I wouldn't do anything with that.
Yeah.
Levi saying, "Hey, Steven, speaking of Triple Crown participants." Oh, I love Dylan. He's awesome, man. He reminds me a lot of me. Always talking shit about other people. Let's get it going.
Yeah, he's trying to jump on it early.
Yeah.
Stir it up. All right. So Bear Rose Garage says, I set out to build for a class this year, but I'm having too much fun making this Corvair into something fun, wild and fun that I don't care. The United National is the perfect place for this square pick. Dude, perfect. Bring it. I mean, hopefully I'll have my 63 Buick done by then. It's the same platform. It's a Y body. It's a 63 Buick Skylark. So,
yeah, I hope you guys if you have any questions about hydraulic, that's kind of what I specialize in. Is I do a lot of hydraulics. You can probably tell by the oil things. If you have any questions about that stuff, don't be afraid to ask. We'll solve your hydraulic questions. One more thing before we get out of here. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but I'm going to say this again. So these are back in stock now. These are the DLC. They actually finally came in. These are the DLC solid Mopar lifters. I have a set here. There's actually 8 sets right now. So actually 7 on the shelf now. It's for the No Name National people. And you're still getting your discount. So call up Alex. I don't know the cost on them, but they are in stock. They look awesome, and they literally, when I say it just came in, the label was made. If you look at that label, 10/31/25. That label was made. So just had to wait for them to go through QC before they were actually ready to come out. So that took about 11 days. So okay.
He
Go
says
ahead.
poking around with Steven Myrick. He's got 30 more years of knowledge over me. I just like poking around. There's no hurt because there's no malicious intentions, just good fun. I know that Shane and I used to freaking go back and forth on Facebook before the 10-5 NA races, and we would get the crowd freaking stirred up, and they just show up just to see the beating that I didn't put on him or he put on me or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was all in good fun. I mean, we knew it was going to get brutal because it was like, dude, I'm just going to go all out on Facebook so we can get as many people here. We were trying to put butts in the seats was the whole idea.
And we sold that place out, man. Remember that? They literally had nowhere to park cars anymore.
I got some pictures of that somewhere. Like, remember we went to a car show like a week before, right? That's where Shane actually ended up hurting his motor. When we went to this car show, it was cool. We parked the cars nose to nose, and man, we were putting kids in the seats and taking pictures, and it was just like a regular car show. And here's all these race cars showing up for this.
Yeah, Woody Wood showed up too. Remember, he showed up with his.
Yeah, Woody Wood showed up with that, like a '66 Vet, right? But Shane did this Gonzo burnout, and I mean like epic level burnout. People were talking about it all summer, but he ended up cracking the block doing that burnout, and then the car, it just kept getting slower and slower and slower every pass, and it was like, what's going on? I mean, I was over there helping him out, trying to get the thing sorted out, playing with the carburetor and running compression tests, and it's like nothing made any sense. Everything was fine, and it just kept getting slower, and the oil pressure wasn't dropping off, and it was like.
And there was no water in the oil.
Off and took it apart. Just pulled it out and took it apart.
Yeah. And I pulled it apart, took it apart, and I still didn't find it. How I found it is I went over to Total Performance and we pressure tested the block at 200 degrees, and then it showed itself. It didn't.
Well, you showed me the rods. The rods were the only telltale sign because they were blue. They were like this one spot.
One spot. It was just steamed. There was two of them. They were steamed right there. They didn't spin the bearing, but man, they were getting hot there. And we couldn't figure that out. So that's when we started pressure testing the block. We found it. That's when it showed it. And that's when it all made sense. And I was like, Dallas, I found it. We got it. SSR is asking the question, any news or updates on the online login for Edelbrock Group? Here's the thing, is that for right now, we're just going to keep it through Alex So, because it's so hard to keep everyone's information private right now. And the way the login is set up, it would show everybody, like anybody who goes in there, the last person would be seen. And we want to protect your guys' information. So right now, Alex So is entering them in. But you can still, I'm pretty sure you can still go there and look at what the inventory is and whatnot. And if not, I'll find out about that. But as of the last I heard is that you just couldn't order, but everything else there was for you guys.
So Indirect Connection says, can the rocker shafts get the DLC coating, and do you think it would be worth the cost?
Yes, in fact, it does. We actually have the rocker tips, because here's the thing, is that a roller rocker is probably the worst thing you could ever do, because you're adding more weight to the end of the rocker and on the end that you don't want to put it on. So a lot of the SPR rockers that are basically it's just a slip on it, they're DLC coated, and it's just as efficient, if not better, and it becomes a radius arm rocker. So you'll start here, and as it goes out, it increases the ratio. So if you have a roller tip, it's a 1.5 no matter what. But you could have it 1.5 here, and as it goes down and the more lift you get into it, it could go up to a 1.6 because it's moving that ratio out as it goes in, as it rocks out. So yes, and you could make a rocker arm that's even lighter, so that way you don't have to add as much spring pressure. And then we've been we've actually been able to take a camshaft that normally would need 250 on the seat, 750 over the nose to run to like say 8,500 RPM with the SPRs type of rockers, moment of inertia, and our what do we call them? Our soft lobes.
Well, that's
you know, as far as
that's
our
what you and I
soft
did with on my super stock Buick was that we
Yes.
pulled so much weight out of it.
yeah,
It dropped it from the spring pressure that I originally had was a triple spring, right?
yes, exactly.
And it was like I want to say it was like 200, and then like it might have been 700, 750 over the
yeah, it
nose,
was crazy.
right?
Yes,
And we dropped it down to like, I want to say it's like 100 and 300.
yes, exactly. So you could take almost 400 pounds out of it because you're not having to change that amount of weight. So whatever gram you have at that type of, you know, you're changing that direction. That's a factor of 4, and then it's just the math goes off the scale, and you're having to control that just with pressure. You can get rid of all that, and then now because then that means you can run lighter push rods. Then that also increases your RPM and the moment of inertia. So everything just gets lighter and lighter and lighter, and works better. So yes, DLC coating is absolutely worth it, and it's worth the cost. 100%.
I don't know if you can take your own rocker shafts and send them in and it'd be
No.
worth the cost, because you want to find something that's already done.
Yeah. I would do
but-
just the tip on it on them. Is I would just do, if you had like, you know, we do offer SPR type of rocker arms for LSs, and it's a super lightweight rocker just for that reason. And that's why they use a lot of our parts when they do like the spinal tap stuff. It's all the lightweight stuff, and then that's what for.
So Dust Devil saying drag racing needs more of the Facebook trash talk. You have a bunch of nice cars show up at Gateway every weekend to race, and not a single person in the stands.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It really wasn't the trash talk. It was a combination of a bunch of things. They had the group set up on Facebook,
The flyers.
the flyers that were passed around town free. You ended up having to pay to print them, right?
Yep.
Let's see. We had a big community of followers, right? Like not just online, but like at the track. You would tell them, "Hey, we're going to be here this day." I mean, I had dudes that were like fans. It was weird. I've never had anybody ask for my autograph before, but like literally people would come and ask for our autographs, right?
Yeah. We're getting close to the end here. So Paul's asking a question here, and I'm going to show him here. He says, does anyone offer a service where you can send a complete new set of lifters for applying the DLC coating on them? This is actually the hardest thing. Yes, you can do that, but they DLC coat the whole lifter, and that's where the cost comes into astronomical.
Be expensive, yeah.
Yeah, and here was the hard thing is that you can see that there's a chamfer right there on that edge, right? And because of that, that's the hard thing is that DLC coating will flake off if it's not done correctly. And that was the hardest thing for us to do, is to get that chamfer just right, and to get that so that way it wouldn't flake off. And that was the years of testing right there. Now I can't tell you what we did, how we did it, or anything like that, because that's would negate all of our work. But I can tell you that a regular set of lifters, the only way to do it would be DLC coat the whole thing. But then it's going to be like $1,000 for that, where you can get a set of our lifters, and I'm not sure what these are going for, but I believe they're like $150 for a set of lifters like this, or maybe $200. And I'm on this engine for the Slant 6. I'm not even going to break it in, just like I did on the hydraulic one that's in the green car. I'm literally going to fire it up, and I'm going to go race it, and then I'm going to show exactly. And I'm going to put the heavy springs right in. This thing's going to have 170 pounds on the seat, and it's going to be 310 over the nose. And I don't care. I'm going to fire it up and run it.
Tom Brown says, I think the DLC coated rockers will be the hot ticket for the Buick rockers for sure. I've been actually looking at that, and I want to do the entire shaft and the rocker arms, right? The pads on the rockers. Not the whole rocker arm. There's no point. But the pad on the rockers I was looking at doing. But I do have a experimental set of Buick roller rockers for the 300 Buick. I don't even know if they work. It was experimental set sent to David Vizard by Kenny Bell back in like the 80s to test on a Rover platform. They're I need to get that set put together. I need to get some DLC shafts for it because they don't have any rocker shaft. I have one rocker shaft to make 2 off of. So,
What was you saying here that hydraulic oil mods are nice to learn, just afraid to do. Here's the thing, man. I agree, but it's cast iron. Cast iron is super forgiving because it's so hard, but it's easy to cut. It really is. A nice sharp bit and nice sharp. Just get stuff that's brand new. It's going to cut just fine. Find an old block and then just practice on some cast iron on how to drill through it. Run a pilot hole. Then just run it slow, and you don't need. I don't use much lubricant on it because cast iron's got natural lubricant in it.
Yeah, just like Shane, I did this myself, right? And I'm not I'm not an engineer. I'm not even a machinist. I'm just a hack. And but what I can tell you is, just like he's saying, cast iron is very forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Sharp bits are your friend.
Exactly.
Okay? And then never get greedy. Never. I never go more than I never try to change a 16th of an inch on a bit. You want to do the in-between steps, the 30 seconds, because it's then when you get greedy is when you crack the sucker.
That's right.
You take little pieces at a time. It'll be good.
Yeah, that's right.
The other thing is, if you overdo it, as long as you didn't crack the casting, you can always sleeve it with something, right? And if you go down to the hardware store, you get a copper tube. You just the same size as your hole, and you just slide it right in. You freeze the copper tube, push it in place, let it harden up, and she's set. And then it's like literally like it never happened. Now you can't go back in there and do the mod again, but you didn't lose anything that you had before. Maybe a little strength.
Yeah, and just practice. Get an old shitty block if you have it. Just do the mods and practice that way. But I've done the small blocks. I've done those hundreds of those. And I'm not scared to go in there and drill anymore because it's just cast iron. And like Dallas said, I'm telling you, I do the same thing. Go get new bits. It's worth it. Just buy the new bits. Throw
them away when you're done. I promise. They'll be so worn out.
Yeah, and go slow. Don't crank that thing on full speed. Just it'll go and you'll feel it. You're going to feel it drive right through. And the thing about cast iron is it's so hard that if you didn't have the angle off right, the next drill bit, just put the angle where you want it to be and then run it through. And by the time, because you're making small changes, you'll get that angle exactly where you need. So,
yeah.
But we're getting down, man. We've only got a few minutes left, man.
Yeah, I think less than a minute. So, yeah. Other than that, I don't have any new videos coming out. I haven't really done much this week. I've been juggling a lot of stuff, but I'm thinking by the end of the month, I might have the What If 300 fired up and running. I'll have an intake, hopefully.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I do. Is on my list. I got the TIG welder ready to weld. So tomorrow I should be at least tacking stuff together and then sanding things out. So hopefully I can get that damn thing together.
I haven't made a video since we did the Smokies. I was burnt out on that. I took a break. I'm working on the truck right now. The AC compressor died on me on the way going to No Name Nationals. I said, I'm just not going to mess with it. Then it started to mess up. So that way, and now I'm working on it. The very next video is probably going to be one. What did the green car get as far as mileage for 6 Smokies? And 2, I'm going to be working on the Slant 6 because now I have these lifters here. So that engine's going to be going together. I'm going to show you oil pan modifications, and we're going to get going crack-a-lacking on that.
Are you okay, Wyatt?
Yeah, there you go. Right there, Mohawk 62. You okay, Wyatt?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Try to keep himself occupied. All right, well, I'm out.
Yeah, so anyways, guys, you guys have a great week.
Crash the
Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Totally
All right, do your thumb. Get a thumbs up one more time. See if you get a thumbs up.
Now hold your thumb up like this. It'll do a thumb thing.
Yeah, right. There you go. There you go. All right, with that.
All right.
You guys take it easy. See you guys next week.